Settle down. Good morning. Before we officially begin our workshop program, we'll have an opening prayer to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem. We all stand for the opening prayer.
Our heads in gratitude. Heavenly Lord, you today, with hearts full of hope and purpose, as we gather for the inaugural workshop of the ASEAN Circular Economy Business. We thank you for the opportunity to come together as a community and a picture. Resources cherished, waste minimized, protected future. With the discussions, ideas, and partnerships, be filled with insight, compassion, and a team for the community, prosperity, and sustainability. Each leaders, innovators, policymakers, stakeholders. Grant them the clarity to envision transformative solutions. The courage to implement together in a fair. Let this workshop be a beacon of hope and inspiration, igniting further action and collaboration across nations, industries, and communities. We ask for your protection and blessing on all those who are working to build a brighter, greener future. May our efforts be fruitful and bring positive change, not only to ASEAN, but to the entire world. With gratitude and humility, we offer this prayer. May we go forward in your grace, and may our work reflect your love for all creation. Amen.
Please remain standing for the Philippine National Anthem. this event co-hosted by the ASEBA, the CCCI, the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and of EU, Switch Asia PSC. So just a few housekeeping guidelines. So can we put up the presentation, please? Just a few housekeeping guidelines because we are doing this activity both on-site in person today here and also online. So for our online participants, so can we just remind you to mute yourselves throughout the event? Second, we also encourage you to put up your questions or write your questions in the chat box. We will have a Q&A segments throughout the workshop, and we will be getting questions as well from our online participants. Also, the presentations will be done in English because we have foreign participants as well. So that should be that should be okay. And again, for our online participants, so please bear with us. Can we also check the audio if they can hear us clearly? All right. So next, I'll just go through the program quickly. So today we will have moderated conversations about the circular economy and how businesses in the Philippines can contribute to building circularity and have sustainability here in the country. We'll have two panels for this morning. One on Philippine businesses, selected Philippine businesses sharing their experience on their CA achievements and initiatives. And the second panel will be with representatives from the public and private sectors to talk about how to advance the circular economy in the Philippines. And of course, again, would like to take this opportunity as well for the support of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry as the country lead for ASEBA. All right, so let's start the ball rolling. So to introduce ASEBA and ARAIBA to our participants, may we call on Mr. Thomas, co-convener of ASEBA, chairman of ARAIBA SDN-BHD, and senior expert of Switch Asia PSC.
Good morning. I want to acknowledge Mr. J. Vallos, the president of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Melanie is not here, but I also want to acknowledge Area Vice President of the Philippine Chamber, Adeline Guare, the Vice President of the for Business and Advocacy Policy, Reagan, Rex King, the Vice President of the Cebu Business Regulation, Wendell Ganhinhin, the Vice President for Finance and Administration, Tony York, who is the trustee of the Cebu Chamber, and Engineer Paul Veneray, the President of FDR Construction, and Emma Remus, the Solid Waste Management Board of Cebu City, my colleague Rene Beckel, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'll start by wishing you all a very warm welcome to each and every one of you who are here, either in person and also to the many online. Thanks for your support and presence at this event. This event marks another milestone in the promotion of responsible business in ASEAN and a new chapter in our collaboration with the Philippines. Today is the beginning, or as we launch the ASEAN Circular Economy Alliance, or in short, we call it ASEBA, in the partnership with Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the outreach in the Philippines. This initiative started in 2023 when the ASEAN CSR network, of which I was the CEO, requested support from Switch Asia to mobilize businesses in ASEAN for circular economy. They kindly agreed and to support us, and we completed phase 1 of this project last year. In phase 1, we organized consultations and engagements which the stakeholders in ASEAN. This includes workshop in Manila in November 2023. The outcome of all these consultations was an agreement for a principle-based approach to circular economy. We have a unifying framework for business action towards ASEAN-centric economic transition. This positions circular economy as responsible business, innovation strategy to address the triple planetary crises due to unsustainable use of natural resources. We uncovered and documented good business cases for circular economy practices. We published about 78 of them. This number is growing. These business cases are an inspiration and confirmation that circular economy can be done by businesses of all sizes, all types, and in all sectors, including the micro, small, medium-sized enterprises, the SMEs, MSMEs. From the Philippines, we have about 14 cases. The ASEAN CSR network, which initiated this project, has transited to become the AREBA, which is a company registered in Malaysia. AREBA stands for the ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. Its origins was in 2018 when the ASEAN CSR network, together with the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, adopted an ASEAN Code for Responsible and Inclusive Business. It was presented to the ASEAN economic ministers that year. The code covers 7 core principles for business responsibilities and 7 subject areas. AREBA is aligned and strengthens the framework of ASEBA. And we have progressed from where we were to now, thanks to the help of many people. And I want to give a big thank you to each and every one who have contributed in one way or another for these achievements and also for this launch today. I want to personally thank a few people who contributed to this partnership with the Cebu Chamber of Commerce. First of my list is Melanie Ng. She was supposed to be here. I just want to thank her. She is the Philippine representative to the ASEAN SME Advisory Board. In May 2024, last year, Rene and myself made a presentation to the board on our circular economy project. And before we launched it in June, the presentation, which Melanie must have heard very carefully, she reached out to me and she said she's interested in the work. We exchanged some emails, and the next thing we had a conference call with President Jay and members of the board. I know Reagan was there. We had a good conversation and we agreed to take forward the steps. So I want to thank Melanie for the first step. Another key player is President Jay. I first met him in 2017 when the ASEAN CSR network was working on a paper on financial challenges of the SMEs, MSMEs, micro, small, medium-sized. So we consulted many stakeholders, and including Jay. He was supporting the Philippine chairmanship of ASEAN then, and his insights were very valuable. At that time, I suggested that he should go for a presidentship. But he has now become the president of the Cebu Chamber. That was not what I was expecting, because somebody else from the furniture business became president of a bigger country. I thought he could do that. But I'm sure the chamber would benefit from his leadership and will bring the chamber to great heights. Thank you, Jay, for all your support. I also want to thank Mr. George Basilon, the chair of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He's also the Philippine representative to the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. And he's well aware of what we're trying to do. When I mentioned to him that we're having discussion with the Cebu Chamber on collaboration, he encouraged me to work with Cebu Chamber and says it's a good partner. And he was assured us of his continued support and that the chamber. So I want to also thank him for all that. I also want to thank a very good friend, Gil Gonzalez, who was the executive director of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Gil has to do some work for the country and he's not able to come here. He was extremely supportive of all our work, and during his term, he also encouraged us, and I think he also encouraged his good friend Jay to move on this partnership. So his advice and guidance have been very valuable to ASEBA, and we want to keep him there, and he's one of the co-conveners of ASEBA. And today's event would not have been possible for Joy Lorena Edino, the executive director of the Cebu Chamber. I want to thank her and her team for the great support and for making this partnership and this event possible. So she did all the heavy lifting with her team, and it was a great team to work with. We will have more opportunities to benefit from Joy's quiet efficiency. And just to tell you, I was feeling quite depressed this morning because for some reason, the transport service of Cebu was not very liking to me. My Grab gets cut off yesterday and it takes me longer time. And this morning, the same thing happened. They say it'll arrive in 9 minutes and it never arrived. And then it canceled and another come. And then I said, maybe nobody likes me. And then all of a sudden, there was this pretty lady coming in front and the car arrived and said, are you looking for transport? I said, I just got my transport. That was Joy. So she changed my day for me. So thank you very much, Joy. So I also want to finally thank my colleagues in Switch Asia. Without them, we can't get this thing going. And in particular, I want to thank a lady called Lorraine, Filipina. She's working very hard in Bangkok, and from Bangkok, making things happen in Cebu and around the world. So I want to thank her. I also want to thank Grace Santos, who is our expert here in the Philippines, and she supports me with all the communications and all the difficult papers to write, she does. And also not forgetting our team leader, a very efficient lady called Zinaida Hadiva, for her leadership in pushing this thing. And I cannot forget my good friend Rene, who is my co-convener for things in ASEBA. He's also responsible for all the intellectual content. He's not as tall as most Dutchmen because of the weight of knowledge in his head, I think. He's the experts. I want to just thank you for all of them and all of you. Thank you very much. And from the time of this presentation, we did the presentation to AMAC, the ASEAN MSME Advisory Board. That was in May last year. And today, it's 9 months. During these 9 months, the process took place that today we have our partnership baby is born. And 9 months is a good time for us to consult to make sure that we have a well-formed, a very healthy ASEBA partnership baby born. Because most of the difficult questions were asked and cleared, and we have been able to understand each other and to share the same aspirations and vision. So now we can work together to realize our vision to enable businesses to make a positive impact to society and on the environment, while continuing to be sustainable and profitable enterprises. I wish the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry and all your members and leaders continued success in all your work. My colleagues and I look forward to working with you for a better, sustainable, and resilient tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. To speak on behalf of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, may we call on stage Mr. J. Uvalius, President of CCCI.
Mayong buntag. Good morning, everyone. Let me first again say thank you to my dear friend, Mr. Tamas, for the kind words. He's head of the Araiba. Okay, please don't mistaken the word Araiba. It is not a country in the Middle East, but it could also mean that it is a proclamation of victory, Arriba, no, in Spanish. But Arriba stands for ASEAN Responsible and Inclusive Business Alliance. Dr. Rene, the co-convener of ASEBA and representing Switch Asia, welcome to Cebu. Assistant Vice President for the Visayas, Melanie Nang, she's not yet here, but she was acknowledged earlier. She's one of the reasons why we're here. Of course, our dear friend, Ma'am Emma Ramas, from the Solid Management Board of Cebu City, of the City of Cebu. Engineer Paul, dear friend, friends from the media, and members of the chamber, guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, may buntag or good morning. It is with great pride and excitement that I welcome you all to this inaugural ASEBA workshop here in our beloved city of Cebu. We are gathered today at a momentous time as the Philippines and the wider Southeast Asia take significant stride towards a more resilient, sustainable, and resource-efficient future. The circular economy, it is a system that prioritizes recovery, reuse, and regeneration of resources, has gained increasing importance, not just globally, but within our own regional context. Through the 2021 ASEAN Circular Economy Framework, alongside national policies and action plans, Southeast Asia has committed to transitioning to a circular economy that will support sustainable growth, enhance resilience, and optimize resource efficiency through the leadership of the people that we have just mentioned. You know, in 2015, when I was with the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, we were presented with some data from the Economist. It is a publication. Back then, the population in ASEAN was 628 million. And they projected after 10 years, which is 2025, it could grow to about 700 million. We're not yet 700 million, but we're close to 700 million. The thing that is quite striking in their data is that the growth ratio in the rural area versus the urban area is on a ratio of 2:1. That is why we have rapid urbanization. Not just the growth rate in terms of population, but also in terms of urban migration. That is why we have all these problems in terms of flooding, not only climate change, but flooding, sanitation and health issues, resource efficiency. It's very important. And I think that punctuates the importance of this workshop. And we are proud to be part of this growing movement in the Philippines, with the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry serving as the country lead for the Philippines in the ASEAN Circular Economy Business Alliance. This positions us at the forefront of the circular economy transition in Southeast Asia, and we are committed to driving forward these transformative practices. We have elections today in the chamber, and I am sure our leaders are also committed to push this through. Leading businesses across sectors, agri-food, textiles, tourism, construction, and waste management are already embracing circular economy practices. In fact, we're highlighting 14 in the Philippines. In Cebu, I think we also have a lot of players who are also conscious. By doing so, they are reducing their environmental impact, discovering new business opportunities, and contributing to the long-term prosperity of our economy. The launch of ASEBA in 2024 marks an important milestone in our region's commitment to advancing circular economy practices. ASEBA provides a platform for businesses across Southeast Asia to lead the charge in implementing circular practices that reduce waste, increase efficiency, and foster innovation. Maybe I will have to cut the explanation on ASEBA because I think Dr. Rene will talk about this a little bit more later. But again, I'd like to say that, we are grateful. We are excited. And at the same time, we also want to say that we take responsibility in the chamber to push this forward. And we appreciate the collaboration with Araiba, with Thomas, whose leadership and vision for sustainable business practices have been instrumental in the development of ASEBA as a co-convener. Our heartfelt thanks also go to the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. Our chairperson for the Philippines is Mr. Joey Concepcion, whose support and commitment to the region's business community are vital in advancing our shared goals. I also would like to thank Dr. Rene and acknowledge Switch Asia, whose technical support and expertise has been essential in facilitating this event to ensure that we have the right tools and knowledge to drive forward the circular economy transition. Now I'd like to talk a little bit about the chamber. This endeavor is also aligned with the Cebu Chamber's leadership agenda. Now, I always repeat the leadership agenda of the chamber. As they say, repetition is the mother of skill, so that you will remember. Our agenda for the chamber, our vision for the chamber is to be the engine of Cebu's business growth towards global competitiveness. That simply is summarized in our desire to have world-class enterprises, world-class business community, and world-class people. Why? Because we cannot be globally competitive if we are anything less than that. So our lead agenda is, do we have the presentation? No, okay. So no presentation. There is? Okay. Our lead agenda is LEAD a Must. It is an acronym, LEAD. It is an acronym, but it is also a call to action because leadership is a must these days. Letter L stands for lifting up the branding for Cebu in terms of investment and business. That is our slogan or brand message. Invest in Cebu, prosper in paradise. If you look at the logo, the letter C is the cosmopolitan skyline of Cebu, represents the skyline of Cebu. The letter E with the leaf is the environmental aspect that we wanted to protect. The letter B is the beach. We're a tourism area. And letter B could also mean bukid, meaning mountain. So if you stand here in the middle of the city and you look eastward, 30 minutes away, that's the beach, the beautiful beaches in Mactan. And if you turn around and you look at the west, 35 to 45 minutes, you're already in the mountain, and that is 3 to 4 degrees difference in terms of weather, with all the beautiful sights that we have. The letter U is the upward trajectory of the economic growth of Cebu, but founded on green initiatives. You know, we have always beaten the national average in terms of GDP growth. Last year, I think the Philippines grew by 5.8%, but Cebu grew by, I think, 6.3%. And year on year, we have been consistent in delivering results for Cebu, despite our location, because we're not in the capital. So, you know, that's our logo, and that's our slogan: invest in Cebu, prosper in paradise, because we have the best of both worlds. We are paradise. Palawan is paradise. Boracay is paradise, but they don't have the opportunity that we have, the kind of opportunity that we have here in Cebu. So you can both prosper and have the lifestyle with it. Letter E stands for engaging the whole community. We believe that inclusivity is key to success, ensuring that policies and programs reflect the aspirations of all our stakeholders. The chamber, while we are 800 plus strong membership, and we're one of the bigger chambers in the Philippines, but we're kind of small in terms of membership. But our real constituency is the whole community, actually, as encapsulated in our mission and vision. I was just we had a meeting with the Osaka Chamber the other day in Japan. I think they are 300,000, 30,000+ member companies. Wow, they're big, because you know, it's quite dynamic that they have, and we want to learn from them. So we want to engage the whole community, and if you look at the picture, we are also inclusive in nature, because we engage the fisher folks in Bantayan Island and Cordoba. We have a project in partnership with the German government through the AFOS Foundation, and we donate, you know, pump boats and fish pens, and we teach them organizational skills, financial skills, and we teach the wives how to make other products like recycled cement bags and turn it into you know, bags for women. It's not the Christian Dior type, but if you look at the love and the spirit that they put into the bags, you will feel the same. But very nice products. The letter A is active partnerships. We consider Seba and Switch Asia and Arriba as partners, and we want to activate all of these partnerships, but because we know that the chamber cannot do it on its own, and we need to expand the stakeholder base, and we need all the inputs we have so that we can develop the economy of Cebu in the right way. We also have partnered with government, the Anti-Red Tape Authority, with DTI, the National Development Company, with PICPA, Philippine Institute of Certified Public Accountants, with the Agri Group, simply because we need all the muscle. For example, the PICPA, the accountants, We do clinicking in all our with the small and micro businesses for financial reporting and the right way to manage the finances. So that is active partnerships. And letter D is to develop an ecosystem for innovation and creativity. Innovation and creativity culture is a must. It's necessary for us to prosper. I am blown away, what you see in Japan. They do the basic things, and that breeds innovation. That breeds creativity. So we're thinking that, we have to go back to the basics. We teach even sanitation, food hygiene and sanitation in Japan is amazing. You don't get an upset stomach when you eat sushi even late at night. And it's really going back to basics. Food handling, waste management, circular economy. This is really important because how can we develop tourism if we don't pay attention to these things? Okay, so to continue, that's LEAD, and a must is also an acronym. The alliances that we wanted to create. The alliances expands our stakeholder base, and we want to we have carefully identified what are these areas that is important for Cebu. This is not an exhaustive list, but we believe that we can begin here. Okay. One is the Academe Industry Alliance. We graduate 40,000+ students every year. And that is a very powerful force because of the youth, the dynamism, and the aspiration of the young. But we have to plug them in the right manner to the industry, because the industry needs the right skill sets, the right attitude, and the right mindset so that we can move forward. So we have already begun the initial meetings with the alliance, and we are going to create a new vision for the Academe Industry Alliance. The next is the MICE Alliance. MICE stands for Meetings, Incentives, Conferences, and Exhibitions. We have already casted a new vision. We are going to elevate Cebu as a top destination for MICE. And we have gathered the stakeholders for this. The hotels, restaurants, we have a beautiful airport. We have the SMX Convention Center by the SM Group and the Arena. We need to put our acts together, and this will serve as a platform. The alliance will serve as a platform for the different stakeholders to synergize its strengths and promote Cebu as a top MICE destination. Utilities Alliance includes power, includes water, and also connectivity. This is basic. If we are, I've learned that power, while we want a competitive cost in terms of power, but more importantly, we also need it to be stable. And we also need quality power. In this day and age, harmonics, we were talking about harmonics and advanced technologies. With dirty power, there is such a thing as dirty power. It's not gonna work. It's going to be expensive. It has to be clean power. So there is such a thing as clean power. Yeah. So Mr. Clean. So very powerful people. But kidding aside, that also includes telecommunications infrastructure, because in this day and age, AI, connectivity, globalization, these are the things that we need to pay attention to. The next one is Environmental Stewardship and Sustainability Alliance. I mentioned a bit earlier, sustainability is not only about climate change. As we are going to discuss today, it is really the efficiency of the utilization of resources. If you have urban migration on the ratio of 2:1, at that time in 2015, the ASEAN urban centers were growing at a rate of more than one Singapore a year, more than 5 million people a year. And Cebu is not exempted with that. So we need to talk about the circular economy so that our waste will not be wasted. It will be opportunities. So the last one is Transport and Logistics Alliance. We have recognized that Cebu has always been a trading hub. And I think you nod in agreement with me that since time immemorial, Cebu is known for about trading. But we need to talk about mobility and transport. It's all about efficiency. So this is still a part of the whole circular economy thing. And I don't need to, explain all of this to you. I just wanted to let you guys know that these are the things that we are focusing on right now. As I said, it's not an exhaustive list. There are so many. The laundry list is kind of long, but we need focus. So as we move forward, it is important to remember that the transition to a circular economy is not just an opportunity, it is also a responsibility. A responsibility to future generations, the environment, and society. By embracing circular practices, businesses can enhance resilience, reduce costs, and unlock new avenues for growth, all while contributing to the collective goal of reducing waste and minimizing our environmental footprint. I am confident that the discussions we have today will inspire collaboration, foster innovation, and open new pathways for our businesses to thrive in an ever-changing global landscape. As we continue to champion the circular economy, we are laying the foundation for a more sustainable and prosperous future for the Philippines and the region, and more importantly, here in Cebu. Thank you for being here today, and I look forward to fruitful conversations and partnerships that will emerge from today's workshop. Let us move forward together, embracing circular economy as both a business opportunity and a commitment to a better, more sustainable world. Thank you, and as we always say, padayon Cebu. Continue Cebu.
Thank you, President Jay. The Department of the Environment and Natural Resources is at the forefront of the promotion and overseeing CE and sustainability initiatives in the country. So this morning, we would like to share with you a short message, recorded message from Undersecretary Annalisa Rebueltate on the Philippine commitment to the transition to a low-carbon, resource-efficient, and circular economy.
Morning, everyone. Thank you to the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the EU Switch Asia Policy CN Circular Economy Business Alliance for extending the invitation to the DNR for us to share the actions being pursued with the Philippine government to steer the transition to a circular economy. The Philippines actually faces a significant waste management challenge. We generate about 61,000 metric tons of solid waste daily, and 12 to 34% of which are plastic waste. And Filipinos utilize more than 163 million plastic sachet packets, 48 million shopping bags, and 45 million film bags daily. And 30% is being disposed of in landfills and dump sites, and around 35% is linked into the oceans and open environment. The government passed a very significant legislation, extended producers responsibility law, which is aimed to achieve efficient management of plastic packaging waste, reduce production, importation, supply or use of plastic packaging, which are deemed low in reusability, recyclability, or retrievability, and plastic neutrality. We are focused into, as of now, on two items, the reduction of non-environment friendly packaging products and recovery programs aimed at effectively preventing waste from leaking to the environment. We issued already the implementing rules, regulations for the EPR law. And we have specific issuance on compliance reporting and audit guidelines, which will provide guidance to reporting entities and also ensure capacity building. This will be a base-in capacity and capacity development mechanism. And then the compliance, to monitor and evaluate the compliance of the obliged enterprises, the collectives, and the PROs, their respective EPR programs. This EPR law is within the broader context of pursuing circular economy initiatives, and parallel to that is we have a support from a Japan funded project through UNDP, which is accelerating NDC through circular economy and cities. It is under this support that we're able to formulate our national circular economy framework, which is aimed to be inclusive, gender responsive, and aligned with our NDC. Another initiative is with the EU funded support, the Green Economy Program in the Philippines, which aims to unlock the potential to deliver and operationalize the circular economy. It's most of the items in the EPR law that need to be delivered in terms of making sure that the enabling policies are in place and being supported by GPP. And there's also a component on supporting the various local government units on how to implement proper solid waste management parallel to the implementation of the EPR. Also mobilizing investments to support recycling and other proper or adoption of technology to push proper solid waste management. We also have initiative on promoting resource efficiency and circularity to reduce plastic pollution for Asia, which will promote actions to reduce plastic pollution from source to sea in Asia and the Pacific. And we have joined a partnership with the World Economic Forum, the National Plastic Action Partnership, to tackle plastic pollution. And we are going to formulate our plastic roadmap, and we have moved further. We will be creating a technical working group with the private sector that will tackle on flexible plastic recycling. In the circular economy framework that we have formulated, we have identified various barriers to circular economy implementation. One is on economic barrier. We need to do cost benefit analysis. We need to have clear financial incentives that foster collaboration among stakeholders to support circular economy. In terms of there's also barrier linked to institutional concerns. We need to look at our existing regulations, permitting policy, and then need to develop comprehensive policies and even invest in infrastructure, strengthen enforcement mechanism, and simplifying our administrative processes in order to encourage circular economy implementation. Then, of course, we have the technology and infrastructure barriers. We need to establish or even maybe enhance our research and development, upgrade waste management infrastructure, ensure technological access, and addressing high implementation costs and technological literacy gaps. There's also barriers pertaining to knowledge and organizational. We need to really promote social and behavioral change through awareness campaign, producing champions among organizational leaders, promoting industrial symbiosis, providing training programs, and fostering circular economy frameworks. In relation to knowledge and organizational barrier to the habits and cultural barriers, there is a need to really change lifestyle to address throwaway culture and resistance to change, even the simple serious segregation, serious segregation and zero waste to proper segregation at the household level is really a big challenge. It's really a matter of habit and culture. And then sectoral barrier, we need to incentivize circular practices, develop industry-specific guidelines, promoting digital technologies, establishing industry standards, and encouraging also research and development. One of the key elements that we identified in our circular economy framework is strengthening partnerships. This will involve sector-specific partnerships to ensure that all industries are on board. Of course, capacity building, facilitating the financing needed, particularly public-private partnerships, and then strengthening our M&E. We need to systematically monitor the progress, measure the impact, and ensure accountability. And this is and the EPRU is a good practice area for us to have a very robust monitoring evaluation through the submission of the EPR report of the companies who are required to undertake extended producer's responsibility. So this is where we are in the implementation of the circular economy in the Philippines. There's still a lot of things to do, but we're also doing already a lot of initiatives, and we hope to finalize soon or adopt soon the circular economy framework. We need to just make sure that the various initiatives that we have with the different partners and the stakeholders will be properly inputted in the circular economy framework. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
So before we proceed to our sessions, may we have a quick photo op with the ASEBA co-conveners, Renee and Thomas, and the leadership of CCCI. So can we ask President Jay, VP King, VP Aldi, and VP Wendell to please join our conveners in front for a quick photo op. Oh, go ahead, sir. Can you join us as well? Thank you. We want to have a photo of this momentous occasion, given that the CCCI has committed to be the country lead for ASEBA in the Philippines. So now we proceed to the meat of this workshop. May we call on Dr. Renee Van Berkel, co-convener of ASEBA, senior expert of EU Switch Asia PSC, and faculty of Thammasat University, to talk more about the circular economy concept and how businesses are actually practicing CE in the region.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction, and good morning to all. I think we have heard quite a number of times the word circular economy, and we know from our experience that circular economy seems to mean different things to different people. So that's what I would like to discuss a little bit in my first introduction. So how do we unpack this circular economy agenda for businesses? And then we talk about the businesses which are in the environmental domain, but also manufacturing businesses, or whether you're a hotel or furniture manufacturer, or in other businesses, there is opportunities for circularity, for circular economy. So I'll talk about moving from concept to a responsible business and innovation agenda. President also mentioned innovation, creativity, and I think that is also one of the things that we can use circularity as a lens to drive innovation and creativity. Circular economy is on the agenda that was already highlighted in ASEAN. So I put here some numbers. 2070 Laos was first with a strategy, then 19 Singapore. We saw 2021 the circular economy framework for emphasizing circular economy as an instrument for the economic integration, not an environmental instrument, but economic integration, resource efficiency, sustainable growth, and increased resilience there. Then we saw the strategies in Thailand and in Cambodia. Thailand called it bio-circular green economy, so highlighting the connection with the bioeconomy and the green agenda. Then we saw 2024, last year, Indonesia launched. Also, Malaysia launched in 2024. Malaysia put it circularity in as part of the manufacturing policy. So we're not just talking about an environmental policy, but an economic policy. And then, of course, 2025, we heard just the Undersecretary talking about the circular economy package, which is being negotiated, and that's also a law being discussed. And Vietnam is also on the finalizing its circular economy strategy. So it's clear the highest level ASEAN and the member states are committed. But I think that we are also quite clear on the overall kind of idea that we have. So we're currently operating in a system that we take resources, we make products, we use them, and then we throw them away. That's the linear economy. And we want to have something which is take, make, use, recover, reuse, and I add to that, and keep on repeat doing that. So it's not just a matter of finding one application for circular, but we have to perpetually circulate and recycle. So there's different images going around. Of course, we have some roots in the 3R movement: reduce, reuse, recycle, which we have been basically practicing since the 1990s, I think, maybe 25, 30 years of experience. Then we've seen people coming up with different R frameworks, so to add refuse, rethink, remanufacture, refurbish, so that's the 9 ones. Then we saw last year the ISO standard coming forward, and it actually put 12 ones. It also put there remining and circular sourcing. But I guess what is overall important, and we need to get out of this mindset that circular economy is a recycling economy. It's much more. If I be provocative in this Friday morning, I would say maybe recycling is the last resort in a circular economy. So we try to design out waste, unnecessary use of materials and energy and water to ensure that we don't need to recycle in the first place. So there are contributing perspectives. So we could also call it like schools of thought. So people have come to circular economy from different angles, and that is adding to, in principle, you could say that if we have different angles, that enriches the discussion. But we see that this becomes a competition. I'm smarter on the circular economy than you are, so then that becomes a bottleneck. So we see certainly that there is something around what we could call an ecosystem metaphor. So in nature, nothing goes to waste, so we should do that in society as well. There is some thinking around the precautionary principle, and that's actually one of the global principles. So if we're not sure whether there's a risk, we should basically not do it. And so that's and then the other one is the business models, to say that we need to think about how is the value of materials being taken into economic systems. And then more recently, we think about this decoupling. We need to grow the economy, prosperity, but delinked from greater environmental degradation. So if I just take them, the ecosystem metaphor is very much promoted by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation globally. And they say that that's basically copy and paste nature into economic systems. And then you get these things that we need to manage the flow of renewable materials. So that's on the, I think, on the left-hand side. So renewable materials, they can be cycled back through nature. So you can put organic material back into nature and recycle. But if we overstretch the capacity, then it's also a problem. And then on the right-hand side, we have basically the finite materials or the non-renewable materials. And we need to manage the stocks which we have. So that's why they have 2 circles. That's why people are saying this is the butterfly diagram. So then it said eliminate waste and pollution, try to circle at the highest possible level. So not recycle back to materials or to energy, but keep a product, refurbish, remanufacture it that would be desirable, and then regenerate nature as well there. So then the second one is basically the precautionary principle, which says that if in doubt, don't do it. And that has given rise to the 3 R's and now the 9 R's. And then we could say that this is refuse. So just don't do it. Find another way. Rethink is another way. Finding reduce, reuse, and repair are the more known concepts. Then the newer ones, which are there, is refurbish. So you kind of give it a second life by adding some of the features, or remanufacturing would basically say remanufacture to the original capability. And we see that already happening. If you buy a Mercedes-Benz truck, you never know whether it's a new gearbox in there or a remanufactured one. And then we have, of course, repurpose. So can we repurpose plastic bottles into textiles and related ones? So that's one. Then we have the circular business models, which are basically saying that we have to change how we deal with value of materials and products. And then basically they call it then down. You have to either narrow the resource use, so less products, less materials in products, using them longer, so slow down the flow, then to close it, so to cycle back into nature, regenerate. And then we get different people who are saying within those categories we have different business models. Circular supplies, resource recovery, industrial symbiosis. And basically this is the list by the World Business Council, 5, but others are giving us 15 or 20 different models. And I think in the end, we need to customize. It's horses for courses. We have to find the right solution for that. The last approach is more this one of decoupling. So we realize that the decoupling of well-being. So we need to have more well-being with probably less stuff. And if we make stuff, we need to make stuff with less materials, less energy, with less water. That's the kind of the notion of doing more for people with less materials and with less impact on the environment. And that is then here promoted by the International Resources Panel. And we could say, what do we then basically do? We have to make sure that we keep things in the loop. So that's circularity. We need to use things efficiently, so as little as possible. And efficiency also means as long as possible. So efficiency and longevity are basically the same concept. You use less stuff or you use stuff longer for the same purpose. And then, of course, the substitution. So we have an opportunity to use renewables as a way to deal with the environmental stresses. So if we put it that way, then we could basically say that circular economy is a kind of a systems perspective. So we take from society takes resources and we use them in the economy and society. We produce waste, and these resources and waste have planetary impacts. And in that regard, we now talk about the triple planetary crisis. So 3 environmental impacts which have the potential to impact on how people on the planet could live. It's not about nature or biodiversity. It's about our own survival. So what we can do in 10, 15 years from now. And that is basically climate change, loss of biodiversity, and the accumulation of waste and pollution. So we could say that circular economy would then be concerned with closing basically these inputs and outputs, inputs of resources into the economy and the output of waste into the economy. So that's the perspective. And then I come to the work which was done as a lead up to the launch of ASEBA, the ASEAN Circular Economy Business Alliance, that was done with the Switch Asia. And we basically focused on 3 elements. So first of all, we said, we need to get a kind of an understanding what's the magnetic north. What are we aiming for? We can discuss very long on what is better, this refurbishing or repurposing or remanufacturing, but we just have to agree on what is our magnetic north. Which way do we want to go? And then so that resulted in the unifying framework. Thomas referred to that. And we said, let's also look at what business are already doing. So what can we learn from that? So that's where we documented these business cases. And then we thought we need to bring business together and say, government can put rules and regulations and incentives for circular economy. But circular economy happens when businesses are putting different products, different services on the market. So without business leadership, the circular economy will just be a little bit moving around the fringes, if I may say so. So that's where we came from, and this was led then by ASEAN Circular Economy, Corporate Social Responsibility Network, which is now ARIBA, and Switch Asia. So circular economy, we got many people say, sounds good, but what do I do on Monday or even this afternoon? So I think people were then asking basically 5 questions. So what's the purpose? So why should we be bothered? Then how do we do it? Or what is the kind of the scope for action? Then what is the rationale? So why should business do this? And how is the means of doing this? And ultimately, okay, so how is this going to benefit our countries from beyond that? So I think always, I like to say circular economy, we have to start with an environmental lens, but ultimately we are not just about environment, we're about delivering value to people, value to businesses. So that's how we came up with the 5 guiding principles there in this short document. There is a few, there's a few copies around, but it's also online. So that's there. So basically say that in terms of purpose, it's about dealing with materials use of natural resources as the driver for the triple planetary crisis. So circular economy is about achieving net zero for climate, which we have, but also net zero for biodiversity loss and net zero waste and pollution to the environment. So that's our aspirational goal. So then we say, how do we achieve that? That's basically by closing the cycles of materials, energy, and water. That is by using materials more efficiently and longer, so efficiency and substitution to go to renewables. Then the third one is, and that links very much with the responsibility agenda, is to say that this is basically a responsible business. So go with international interpretation of what social responsibility means. It takes an organization to take responsibility for impacts on environment and society because of your business actions. Business actions decide what products you put on the market. That means how much materials and energy is being used in your product. So it's a responsibility, not necessarily meaning that you can solve everything, but at least a responsibility means start to think about it. What can I do about this? What you can do about this is we call it ideation, co-creation, call it innovation, creativity. We basically say businesses work with your supply chain, with your customers, see what you can do and start to create new products, new services, new business processes. And last but not least, we need to get benefit to society and economy. And I think basically that's a no-brainer because we all know that if we do anything we do for climate action right now is going to help us deal with climate change in years to come. And the years to come are not 2050, but it's basically tomorrow because we see already how much impact for climate change are already. So we lost the presentation. So I've been giving too much of a Sunday speech. So let's see whether we can get back to this. So these 5 guiding principles we did, and then based on that we came with the development of the business cases. So we said that let's not just focus on businesses which are just saying that we are circular in that sense, but businesses which are taking actions which contribute to circular economy. So we could basically differentiate between circular businesses that have circularity as a business value or as a part of their contribution. So that would be the ecotourism resources, that would be renewable energy companies. But on the other hand, we can also talk just about circularizing businesses if you want. It's a mouthful, but it is really dealing with the businesses that are taking actions that contribute to circularity. So yes, we're back in business. So we did this business case, and this is an ongoing effort. So there's 78 online. So please go. There is the QR code. It's on the table as well. You can download them. 78, 14 from the Philippines, which we have, and the majority of them are from Indonesia, Cambodia, Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. But we are expanding this right now. So we have a few from Malaysia and Laos on the board. And we were talking earlier this week about some cases from Myanmar. Myanmar. So we want to make sure that this is ASEAN-wide, even though we have to start somewhere. We want to be ultimately also relevant to the whole of ASEAN. So let me go through a few of those. This is basically the breakdown, what I mentioned, and then we have different sectors there. Fashion, and that includes and also footwear, and we put furniture and homewares into that as well. That's quite a big group, quite a big group on sustainable energy, hospitality, food and beverages. But I guess this is not a statistic. This is just the cases which we found first, which were most obvious there. So if I just go with a few examples, I go with the agriculture examples. That's Axel Integrated Farm here in the Philippines. So they started to work really on a coconut farm. So what can we do in terms of resource efficiency and circularity? So they optimize coconut cultivation and productivity with basically using soil and moisture and nutrient analysis. And then you start irrigating and fertilizing according to needs, which means straight away quite a lot of savings there. And substitution of mulch with plastic film. So plastic films increased also the temperature of the soil and will give you not only the weed control, but also the humidity and the enhanced growth. But of course, you need to take then care of the plastics which you utilize. So if you then throw the plastics away, you're on the wrong track. And they look for production of byproducts, so coconut sap, wine and vinegar, nectar syrup, aminos and instant drinks. So look at what byproducts. You have a whole coconut. So why only take the flesh? So what can we do with the other thing? Circularity, then also with composting of the husk and other fruit peels. And they have achieved 80% reduction of fertilizer cost, a 50% reduce of water use, and 25% increase in net profit for the plantation. So that's quite good. I just take one other example from outside Philippines. I put this Fair Farms in Cambodia. It's the grower of pepper. And they do the soil rejuvenation basically with a cover crop, which is an old tradition to grow basically an unnecessary crop, but which prevents the soil loss and contains the moisture and the nutrients. And they also did then intercropping with vanilla. So there's a symbiosis between two crops. But it just means that the farmers have to be trained on how to do the vanilla and the pepper, but they grow side by side and you get the symbiosis. And then they have some fertilizer substitution. They reduce the soil erosion, and then you have also better use of the irrigation, so less pumping. So it all works. It's basically an example of good agronomic practices applied from a circularity mindset. So next set of examples is from the textile garment sector. So we have Bayu here from Manila, isn't it? Bio Manila. So they incorporate more sustainable materials, including Philippine cotton and silk, and also weaving in fabric scraps. So to create new fabrics by using scraps as auxiliaries, theft in there, and non-textile materials like bakong, which is basically a reed being used, and fabric waste minimization by better planning, better optimization. And then they have also done some recovery and upcycling of the fabric scraps, energy and water efficiency, and a rooftop solar as an element there to take it forward. Other example I have here is SC Grant, which is in Thailand. It's basically the first company in Thailand that does fabric to fabric mechanical recovery. So they take post-consumer shirts, t-shirts, workwear, and put it back into uniforms or t-shirts in that way. So they basically pull the fabric apart, sort the fibers. They don't have to dye because they color sort and then they spin it together and weave it together. So some of the uniforms on Thai Airways are actually recycled workwear, recycled uniforms. Then this is the hospitality sector. So this is Pico's Sons hotel. This is part of the SM group, isn't it? And they have achieved basically 60% food waste reduction from the plates per serving, just because of better planning and better integration. So look at what's in the kitchen available to create new menus and work around this really very well. How you serve on the buffets and so on. And this is also just big money. This is €1,000 savings a year for the hotel. The remaining food waste they compost in the garden, and they use it also to grow some spices and some fruits. And then they have eliminated basic single-use plastics for water bottles, but also for the washroom amenities in the bathrooms, which are there. 30% reduction of water use, so efficiency and energy efficiency savings also there. So how you operate the building and how you provide services to your customers. Similar one is Civatel in Bangkok, which has maybe driven it a bit more. So they are really a circular business. They want to profile themselves as a circular business. So they have energy and water efficient refurbishment, food waste minimization. They do local and organic food supplies, and they also have a on-site composting, which they do on site. So really interesting examples. So I just want to mention also the other one. So I spoke about Axel, Basel Association for Native Growers. It's basically handicrafts. So grow the stikok grass in a more controlled way, so you get longer lengths products, grass, and then better quality, so you can weave better mats, and you can also create additional products like bags and other accessories just with the leftover materials. Bio, I spoke about Cemex is basically looking at waste materials to be used as a alternative fuel. They're looking at slags to incorporate that in low carbon cements, and they do also energy and materials efficiency in their operations. Converge ICT is basically looking at the modems and the other equipment which you get back from the customers. Can they refurbish them and put them back into the market? So next time you get a modem from them, it might just be something which has already been used. So giving a second cycle to that. They also look at some the power use in the data centers connected to geothermal and so on. Next one is then Diaspora Farm. This is basically fruit and vegetable farming, a little bit the same story as for the coconut farm. So they look at the integration of the different crops so that you can control the pest and the herbicides used and do the mulching and related ones. EcoStore is quite known, is doing similar for the coffee plantation and also retailing of organic produce and so on. Holcim is a bit similar story to Cemex, and this is also very much driven by the global commitments. So they're also looking at waste materials being as an alternative fuel, substitution of clinker, and energy efficiency, heat recovery. Pilux is a family-owned business in the furniture industry, so they are doing really the crafts design and design furniture that's designed to last, and that can be upgraded and utilized. And they've also looked at better ways to deal with the leftover wood to incorporate that into new designs. So that's really by design. Because Sands Hotel, I mentioned there, Precious Plastics Philippines, he was supposed to join us, but unfortunately there was some emergency at the factory. But it's basically a small scale recycler who makes and manufactures also machinery for plastics collection and then plastic chipping, and then you put it back into compressed boards, and these boards can be used for furniture applications or for mugs or for other products. So it's small scale community-based initiative. Restyle is a community-based initiative that basically takes textile waste and sets up community sewing centers to make them tote bags and other items which can be used in hotels and in other places. SM Hotels and Convention Centers is more, of course, also owns Pico Sands, but they've made it now a corporate-wide undertaking to look at food waste minimization and environment issues. Soilmate is basically a home composting system which operates out of Manila and some of the other places where you get this Bokasi compost bucket at home. You partially fertilize this, and the bucket is being picked up every 2 weeks, and then you get another one, and you get some of the compost back for urban farming. We also looked, of course, at why does business get involved. So this all sounds nice, but where's the dollars or the pesos in there? And I think that first of all, it's cost savings. So certainly, if you talk about efficiency, energy, materials, water, they are basically expensive. So why don't we try to be efficient in this? So that's the first point. The second point is new business opportunities. We have some examples from the other countries, but not necessarily so much from Philippines, but companies which are good in the ICT and have set up this more loops in Thailand, which is basically keeping inventories of dead stock in garment factories and trying to resell them so that small fashion houses have good quality materials, but in small stock opportunities. So that's just because they have ICT capabilities, they can move into some new markets. And then, of course, also change is unavoidable. So it's clear that we need to do something about fast fashion, consumer packaging, and related issues. So we need to move on that. And then this is, if you then look at the management consultants, they will say it's risk management. So what's our liabilities? It's cost savings, so competitive value creation, and a strategic advantage. So how can I grow my business in a world that is highly competitive? You, President, you mentioned also growing for world-class competitiveness. World-class competitiveness includes taking care of the environment, taking care of people. So I think one other way is that I sometimes say this, we are looking at circular economy as an innovation space that looks at the circular value chain, that looks at the decoupling strategy, that looks at the resource type. So circular value chain means looking at development, operations, use, end of life, and return. We look at the resource strategy in terms of circularity, efficiency, and substitution. And then we combine this with materials, energy, water, there. So specific solutions will often then combine different elements. So the ones which I highlighted, they're not just doing circularity, they do also efficiency, and they look also for renewable energy. So it is a comprehensive strategy, and it's also asking for companies to say, well, let's look, next time I buy new equipment, is there something more efficient, or do I buy the same which was efficient 20 years ago when it first bought that piece? So it's a mindset of giving consideration to that. I want to highlight it's also responsible business, and I just take the Global Compact as the 4 priority areas which they have as the 10 guiding principles. And of course, it's primarily or starting from the environment part. So we take environmental responsibility by advancing net zero for climate, for nature, and for materials. But it's also a human rights issue. We have a human right right now, which is established as a right to a safe, clean, and sustainable environment. So it's also taking care of the obligation which rests on all of us, not just government, but also business, our consumers. We are also saying that, and this will need to be addressed as well, that environmental non-compliance is still one of the root causes for corruption. Let's face it. So we need to address this also and say environmental compliance, so no need to bribe off an official. So it's also good in their responsible business practice. And then labor, we spoke about this. We eliminate hazardous situations in the workplace, excessive heat, excessive energy, leakage of chemicals, which are often issues which affect workers. So decent working conditions. Circular economy is just scaling up a practical way to give meaning or implementation to this commitment to responsible business practices. People have asked us what drives success, and I think we came out looking at these 78 or so, and this is not scientific research, but what emerges. And I think that people who we have documented, they have a sense of understanding that they are not just a small business, but they're part of a system, and they have a sense of a magnetic north of what will happen next. Then they have also a clear opportunity to focus to innovation. And I would like to emphasize innovation is not just about ICT or digital technologies, but it's also by building upon traditional knowledge, building upon culture, values related that. So together, and in that sense, it's more co-creation rather than the innovation which happens in a laboratory. Knowledge-driven solutions and also entrepreneurship. So it's good ideas, but we need also people who can champion this. So put this in place, because it's easy for me to talk about it, but it takes a few challenges to move forward. And of course, these are assets to deal with the more traditional barriers on how do I get the technology and how do I get the financing. But if you don't have the idea and don't have the entrepreneurship, even offering finance will not solve the problem. So we need to build the competencies. That's why with ASEBA, we're saying business leadership. Which brings me to ASEBA, and I will just introduce it briefly and come back to it a bit later on. So we are ASEAN-centric, so we like to see that this is an agenda which is to the benefit of ASEAN, which is business-led with the Cebu Chamber, with Kadin in Indonesia, with other business associations, and we aim to contribute to the circular economy framework of the ASEAN, but also to what is happening at the national level. We were launched in Jakarta. Thomas mentioned it with the endorsement of the ASEAN Secretariat, the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, and the ASEAN Coordinating Committee for MSMEs, a mouthful, and of course the EU delegation to ASEAN. And it's an initiative of ARAIBA, which is a purpose-driven, not-for-profit organization that Thomas represents and is taking forward the earlier work of the there. And we hope to sign later today the MOU, which formalizes this, and we're in the process of further formalizing this forward. So we basically, we aim to have participants which pledge to take leadership to circular economy. And they say, come forward, I believe in this, in this circularity idea, and I will take action. I will look at what I can do with my stakeholders, what I can do with my suppliers. If I do new products, I will try to see whether I can incorporate renewable materials, or can I do it with less energy. So really walking the talk initiative. And then ASEBA, we are a small initiative. We are just trying to document and showcase this. We want to be the tambourine which shares good practices and which can move forward, can inspire others to move forward, facilitate learning and sharing, and promoting operational tools. So current lineup, we have 21 participants on ICT Converge from Philippines is there. We have the business partnership, so with Cebu Chamber, Kadin in Indonesia, and in Thailand, we are in discussion with the Thai Chamber of Commerce also there. We have purposely decided that we wanted to try to start with Indonesia, Philippines, and Thailand, and then bring the others on. We have limited resources, so we need to move forward to that. And we have the technical advisory from Switch Asia. So this is online, the different initiatives. I think maybe we can play the video, isn't it? Thank you very much.
We all share one planet that supports our lives. Clean air, water, food, and a habitable climate are at risk due to the overconsumption of materials. Some businesses are addressing this challenge by adopting circular and low-carbon solutions. Supplying local premium water in refillable glass bottles avoids the energy use of shipping water globally, prevents plastic pollution, and rewards local communities for their water stewardship. Turning rice husk into biochar for agricultural use regenerates the soil and minimizes the need for chemical fertilizers and energy for irrigation. Connecting factories so that the waste from one industry is used as raw material for another industry. Adopting advanced technology and digitalization to conserve energy, minimize fabric waste, and turn waste fabric into new fabric. Making premium mattresses affordable with a subscription service that guarantees recycling and material recovery at the end of their life. By changing the way things are designed, produced, consumed, and returned for repeat use, we switch to a circular economy where natural systems are regenerated. Southeast Asia is home to 70 million businesses. Some are taking action, yet more are needed for the circular economy transition. Play your part. Share your business story. Learn what companies in Southeast Asia are already doing.
So thank you, Renee. And as Renee mentioned earlier, ASEBA is here to actually amplify the voices of the early adopters, companies who are already in the business of promoting circular economy, circularity in their business models. So our next segment is actually a discussion with two businesses who are already doing circular economy initiatives and who are already achieving CE impacts. So this session is to be moderated by Dr. Rene Van Berkel. So may we now call on Mr. Reagan King, Vice President for Cebu Business Mobilization, and also President of EcoThink Waste Solutions Incorporated, and also Engineer Paul Rivalde, President of FDRCon.
Hi. So we just be very practical as we are in business, isn't it? If we don't be, if you're not practical, then it won't work. So we would like to get basically some perspectives on the businesses here in Cebu to speak about that. So I don't know, who should I give it for first? Paul?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you for having me here. So our company, FDR company, existed since 1993. Spun up a waste management company 2012, and we are operating an integrated solid waste management since 2009 in city of Naga. We have three partners, LGU, and we are processing the we are the complying in the national law in the terms of Solid Waste Management Act. We do collections, process, and treatment of their solid waste management.
So you say process, so what level of process do you do?
We are providing them the formal material recovery facilities. When you see material recovery facilities, the real material recovery facilities, we employ more or less 90% mechanized.
Okay, that's good.
So actually, Paul is actually our partner as well. We help each other. We were together in the collection of garbage in one of the cities here. So EcoThink actually is a company that we made. Our main business is really to supply equipments and trucks to the governments, and we also thought that since we are already providing equipments to the landfill areas, garbage compactors as well, we are also extending the service as well. And we have been partnering with local governments in the collection of garbage efficiently, because the old mindset was more trucks deployed is efficient in collection of garbage, but it's not really the case, because there are times wherein there are areas that you don't need actually to deploy trucks there. You just need to deploy technology and innovation, as simple as garbage bin to place, because there are areas that the waste is not enough to fill up one truckload of garbage. So that's a waste of fuel, and it also pollutes more air because more trucks are running around. So we are trying now to introduce innovation and technology in the local governments in efficiently collecting garbage. By example, investing in AI, investing in garbage bins instead of more trucks to deploy.
Okay, that's very much a story of efficiency and in the waste collection and so on. So, are you also moving towards, and maybe I come to you, both of you, towards the increased segregation and improving the recyclability of the materials?
Yes, we are. We are actually continuously working with the community as well, because each community has different types of waste. This doesn't mean that we all live in Cebu, we have the same waste. So we have to determine how we are able to work with the community and the local government there to address also the awareness also of the people living in the community on how they can be part of the circular economy. Because for some people,
most of the people, they say, oh, circular economy is only for the people who can afford, but it's not the case. Circular economy is actually can be started in as simple as example, instead of buying um, mineral water bottles, you can bring your own container every day and reduce plastics.
Yes. Paul, how do you see that in terms of the role of your companies in actually segregating and reducing waste at home?
Actually, our facilities right now, as of 2024, we process more than 500,000 of waste. And we produce about 300,000 of RDF, 300,000 tons of that of RDF. RDF is called, is a definition like refuse-derived fuel
Yes.
from the single-use plastics
Yes.
and non-recyclables. We are partnered with this cement factory in our area. We are one of the pioneer in the country. And in the circularity, you are true that this is not about recycling.
Yes.
The totality of the waste, the recyclable materials is only 5 to 10% in here in the Philippines because we are very good in recycling, in recovering. We have a lot of people already recycling, doing this in home. Like for example, container for oil, we use this for container of water, container of paints for container of all these things, repurpose. The thing is, the real issue right now is the waste composition, 50% of those is organic waste. By then, we produce about biogas power generation through our technology, anaerobic digestion or organic slurry. So we produce about 760 kilowatt a day.
Yes.
So I think you're very familiar. Uh, bringing this technology into a bigger perspective, we're talking about 700 million in the Southeast Asian nation. And we are the fifth in the economy in the world. We contributed 6.5 GDP in the global economy. And we are growing. And we are number one in the online shopping. True enough, after the COVID, we recognize that there is 100% increase of waste and in the generation because if you buy one cell phone, there's a lot component when this arrive in your home. There's plastics, bubble wrap, cartons, and the black plastics. And this cannot be recycled. Carton OCC cannot be recycled because full of packing tapes. It's cost of money to pull out all these packing tapes.
Yeah.
So it's really a big challenge, and we are now become a dump site of the old global multinationals manufacturers in the all over the world. This transformation, more in the circular economy for me, is a transformation of the consumers, local governments, to the manufacturers. It's a transformation in a way that the behavior of its loop, which is we try to close the loop, this circular economy, is we are looking at if you are producing e-waste, how can this be a raw materials for the another industry?
Yes.
So that's, I think that's the basic concept. And this is the big challenge. And this is considered as a region to region, country to country, because our Asian nation is very diverse. So in food, in lifestyles, in everything, culture, religion, we are so diverse in a way that in the Philippine city, we are producing 40,000 of waste every day. And we are fond of, because we are a low-income economy, we are fond of using sachets. Also, even ice water, 1 piso ice water is plastics after all. And we are also the dump sites of the ukay-ukay, used clothing. We are number one. So that's the problem really in the circular economy based on my experience.
Yes, it's very clear that consumer goods and the way we have shaped consumer behavior with the sachets economy, the fast fashion and so on is really adding to the waste materials. And it's also not that easy to recover the materials. So sachets are really almost unrecyclable or not economically recyclable right now. So that's a big challenge. So, but can you maybe elaborate a bit on how this works as a business opportunity for you, and in terms of economics, in terms of how you see this as a growth area for companies?
Actually, in my experience, it's like, this is in the business, I say, romance without finance is unwisance. You know, it's a discussion of Article 6.2, 6.4 right now after the Baco Azerbaijan. There's a carbon financing and there's a funding for these projects. We're looking at if you do project in a waste management, this is attractive in a way that for the bank to finance it, it should be financially viable and technically possible. The second is if you go into carbon financing, this is in the model of additionality. It's a big questions.
Yes.
It's like you're doing to try to bake a cake with icing on it, and you cannot bake cake with icing alone. So it's quite difficult. It's really difficult.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Regan, you want to add for that?
Yeah, I actually agree with Paul. We were discussing a while ago actually about this. We have to share. There's a lot of people, especially the young ones now, who want to get into this kind of business, but unfortunately, they don't know how the business model is going to be run because
Yeah,
it's quite challenging. This is what I call a change of mindset or a road taken, road less traveled, because it's not a traditional business that they normally see. You need you need the different ways to run this business. We tried to do it the traditional way. It's very difficult. It's not sustainable. So we need we need to learn from Raiba and this thing with Aseba on how other countries are able to do it. We need to learn best practices, concrete business cases that we can inspire people to think that no, change the mindset from that trash is no value in trash, but trash is cash actually. There is really value in waste. And if even the micro, small, medium enterprise will be inspired in a certain barangay, in a certain community, that they among themselves create business out of waste, then definitely it will reduce the waste going to the landfill, of
Yes.
which the mindset now is always going to the landfill. It's always shortcut. It's like a person, we know that eating unhealthy foods is not good for our body, and yet we still eat it. But in this case, it's like the community knows that irresponsible handling of waste will eventually lead to problem in the future, but still we do it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a challenge, and people have an attitude of out of sight, out of mind. So, but ultimately, we see also with, of course, the plastics everywhere around. There's no place on planet Earth where you can't see plastic waste. So people are starting to realize that there is it will just come back. So consumer attitudes are really important. If I may, maybe before we wrap up, can I ask you both what would be your recommendations to business to think about circular economy? And I would say maybe also for the manufacturers, what would be your piece of advice on how to approach the circular economy?
To begin with, everything starts from the self. Everything starts from the self, and we share the common responsibility of telling everyone that this is not a responsibility only by the government. This is not the responsibility only by the manufacturers, but we ourselves as mere consumers and an individual play a major role in the circular economy. And we have to be very much deliberate and also in what we do. When I mean deliberate, we need to show also to the community what we are doing so that they too will be inspired that as simple as one small thing does not require much cost to be involved in the circular economy. So it's more of the discipline and the mindset.
Okay, that's a very strong message. So take responsibility. That is, and accept that and start moving with the small things. Not you can't solve everything, but that's not an excuse not to do the things which you can already do in that sense.
Same, it's the same in the chamber now that we are very aggressively doing the different alliances. So
Yes.
these two will have to have an alliance as well of all the stakeholders so that everyone will know their role to play in the society.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, you.
As a technology provider and as operator, to scale up the technology, considering in the Philippine market only for the circular economy, we think in the bigger perspective, like we are a net import in terms of energy, and we are producing 40,000 tons of waste. And we are in a dire need because our government signed a 75% emission reduction by 2030. It's a commitment from the national government. And we are now in the energy transitions, which in fact, we have 58 coal-fired power plants is coming to retire. And there's a coming energy crisis in the near future. The thing is, if we take advantage in the circularity of the thing, the disposal of the 40,000 tons, based on our technology and our data, we can create 4,000 megawatts of power using RDF as a source of fuel in the power plant. And we are also able to quantify around 400 megawatt out of organic waste that we're producing every day.
Yeah.
That's exclude the waste in the landfill.
Yes. Yeah. So there is also the opportunity, and I think you're also connecting it then because the energy transition, waste management, it's all related and so on. And this comes also back to your earlier point that maybe climate or finance could be an icing on the cake, but I fully agree that we probably need to look for circular economy solutions which pay for themselves and can maybe be slightly accelerated by climate finance. But there's ultimately too much to do on climate related to the amount of money that's around. So we can't just say that we don't have money, so let's take climate finance, because that's also limited, and we see the difficulties there. I think in the interest of time, maybe I wrap up this segment.
Can I
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. The thing is, waste is a common thing right now. The thing is, hopefully Aziba can do something on these collaborations.
Yes.
Putting a framework in a standard framework, like for example, an offshoot in COP29, putting a financing mechanism from financing institution, grant or something that can support this project, a joint project in a way that, because we are doing something in a way that we are trying to formalize the very informal sector.
Yes. Yeah. I think you mentioned this also with the climate negotiations, that clearly countries, including Philippines, are working on the National Determined Contribution 3.0, which is due this year. And globally, in Baku, there's the last COP, it was very much discussed that basically if we want to do something about climate, we talk about energy and waste, but really what drives energy? Energy is being used to move stuff around. So materials in that sense are responsible for something like 60+% of climate emissions. So we need to bring this efficiency, circularity to the fore. Otherwise, we can't solve the climate crisis. So in that sense, we say it's integrated. That's in the guiding principles, looking at climate, materials, energy, water for circularity. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
Move on to the next segment.
Thank you.
Thank you, Engineer Rivalde and Mr. King, for joining us. We'd like to present tokens of appreciation to both of you. So may we call on our ASEBA co-conveners, Renee and Thomas, as well as President Jay Uvalios, to present the tokens of appreciation to our panelists. Okay, and let's take photos as well. Right, thank you. Thank you so much. We apologize, but we will cut coffee break out of our program again due to the interest of time. And we'll proceed to our next panel. Actually it's not a panel, but it's a presentation more on ASEBA. To know more about ASEBA, the mandate, modalities, and priorities for the Philippines, and what ASEBA is as an alliance, may we call on again Dr. Renee Van Berkel for another presentation.
Okay, it's me again. So sorry, but I like to take the ways forward, and also in terms of President earlier this morning highlighting the issues of an alliances. So can I get the presentation back, the second part, or do I need to? Sorry. So I would like to elaborate a little bit on the modalities of this ASEBA. So I introduced it before as ASEAN-centric, business-led, but I want to say a few words about this, the launch. So really, this is an initiative of ARIBA, which is a responsible and inclusive business alliance, basically, and then the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. So that's the voice of business in ASEAN, and we want to really align with the ASEAN agenda and with the link to the national strategies which are there. So we are ASEAN-centric, so we want to support the operationalization. So not say let's copy and paste what Europe has done or what Japan has done or Korea. Let's find what is appropriate to the type of businesses which we have in the Philippines, in Thailand, in Indonesia, and then look at being business-led. So we want to help you as business to succeed in the circular economy, and we want to promote the leadership and the action. We are engaging in experience and knowledge-based advocacy. So I put there very much also the experience. We want to learn from the experience and not just take the knowledge, which might be academic in some cases, but really understand what has worked, also what has not worked. We have also heard in some of the conversations people coming forward and say, please, can you help to understand why things did not work? So we don't have to run into the same wall in that sense. So really, people are able to start to think about this, but we need to co-create the solutions. And then principles-based approach to circular economy, which I outlined, is sort of net zero, circularity, and so on. So that's our sort of guiding our compass. And as we just also exchanged, we are with ASEBA also looking at following this up with some operational guidelines. So more of a how-to. This is more on getting the vision right, but vision is without an action plan becomes a daydream, isn't it? So we need to put it also into action and finding that out. So there's still work to do, but we want to do this together with businesses. For businesses, we hope that we can provide inspiration and sort of recognition. So I talked about some of the business cases. I want to also get for those business cases to get some recognition that they are taking leadership role, that their work is really innovative. So we want to then support the development and implementation of solutions that are appropriate. So not just copy what is the advanced recycling technologies which work in Japan, but then figure out that the waste composition is different here, so it won't work. So we need to find solutions which are really appropriate. So that focus then also on operational guidance, metrics, and which I spoke about, maybe a how-to guide on this, and how this is also linked to ESG performance. How is this linked to some of the policy tools that we had supported, which Switch Asia is also looking at EPR, at public procurement, and those instruments. And we would then also, of course, the businesses which are associated with us would get a sort of a recognition, soft recognition, because we are not a certifying body, but we want to just showcase and say that action is happening. So the participants really commit to lead through strategy and action. So we asked the businesses who sign up to commit to provide to promote and advance the circular economy transition in your business dealing. So on a daily basis, you deal with government, with customers, with supply chain partners. So if you're convinced about circular economy, talk to them. Some of them are maybe also looking at how they can do recycled materials. Or we've also heard that business saying, I didn't know that my supplier also had recycled material. You never asked, you never expressed interest. So if you start to talk about it, there will be some opportunities arising. And the second one is maybe where rubber hits the road, where we say your business is making multiple decisions. So you decide on changing your product design. So if you change product design, is there a way of extending the life, or can you incorporate some recycled materials? Or next time you buy new equipment, can we buy something more efficient? And this is part of it's not a big one-time change everything approach, but it's more incremental. See what opportunities arise, and business is transforming every day in that sense. And the third one is to then also, if you believe this is the right thing, then communicate a bit about this and participate in some of the results which you have achieved and which we can also augment to that. So we in that sense, we aim to create a community of the convinced and the community of the practitioners on circular economy. And then participate in the ASEBA activities, and that's what we want to do. So in terms of governance, we have this ARAIBA, which is then formerly the host of ASEBA, and that serves then as a regional hub for ASEBA, together with the co-conveners, which is Thomas, Jill, and myself, acting as co-conveners at the moment. And then we have these partnerships with the what we call country leads, which we hope to be the kind of our representatives, our voice and our mechanism to build alliances with the business sector. So we are sitting at the regional level, and ultimately it needs to come to the ground, to Cebu, to other places in the Philippines. So that's where the activities will be done. And then as a regional hub, which Araiba and Switch Asia are doing, we will look at regional activities. So we just did earlier this week with ESCAP, the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and Pacific, a webinar, which was involving more and more broader in that sense. And then we hope and we invite basically also CCCI, the Cebu Chamber, to be part of this leadership group, which we are setting up. But bear with us, we are a bit of a soccer team that's inventing also the rules. So as we go, so we want to build this together with this Cebu Chamber, with Cardin, with the Thai Chamber, and then ultimately also with business membership organization in Malaysia, the Malaysia Chamber, or with Singapore and Brunei. I was in Brunei to speak also about circular economy. So it's just that we need to start somewhere. And then Switch Asia is providing the technical support right now. And we are also negotiating or discussing an arrangement or maybe an MOU with ASEAN BAC. We were at ASEAN BAC meeting in Penang last month, isn't it? I think, and there is also more interest. And I think that initially there was sometimes a perception like a circular economy is not invented by business, so it can't be good for business. But as soon as we start sharing these business cases, and people start to realize this is for business as well. This is a business agenda. So in terms of our way forward, we're trying to focus on three areas for 2025 and moving into 2026. So basically promotion and expansion. So we have 20 businesses right now. That was basically the ones, our friends and neighbors in the first instance, but we need to get to a larger number of businesses to also have a voice on that. And then we're doing this learning by sharing, like we do this morning. We do some online events and activities. We will continue with what I call experience curation, but it basically means looking at what businesses are doing, trying to document it and get some general lessons out of this. So this business case exercise is going on. We have 80 right now. I don't think we want to do 80 this year because that will break my back as well, but maybe some additional ones. So we can say that this is also expanding there, and publication of topical guidance. So we want to do something on linking this to ESG, linking this to the climate negotiations with the NDCs, and also a how-to guide. And then we have advocacy and partnership. So we're discussing with ASEAN back to provide input to ASEAN on its circular economy framework, to the ACS MSME, isn't it? Coordinating Committee for MSMEs and other ones, and some engagement. So the regional coverage will be initially with Indonesia, Thailand, and Philippines, and detailed collaboration and planning with the country leads, including the Cebu Chamber and ASEAN BAC, and the technical advisory. So I mentioned this, these were basically already there, so I don't need to do that. I just want to draw your attention also to the website. You can see it's Join the Alliance. So how can we collaborate? Join the Alliance. There is some sign-up forms, but I think also look at it. So businesses basically sign this joining statement, as we call it. So it's basically saying we want to be participating in this and be committed to circular economy. When we are also looking to contribute to the development of business cases, and we look very much to the Cebu Chamber to work with us to maybe get another dozen of case studies for Philippines, and in our earlier we were very Manila focused on the business cases, so we need to get some good examples. So if Cebu is the center of the economy, let's document some good examples from here. Of course, you can also just join the mailing list and be open for other collaborations. We've also done other events with a few months ago, we spoke with the League of Corporate Foundations, the Global Compact. So we want to see, we need to promote the circular economy approach. So thank you very much. We'd be very happy to discuss, engage. Here are some contacts on the website, or talk to the Cebu Chamber, which will be our conduit. And then I basically hand over back, I think, to Thomas now, isn't it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Renee. And as you mentioned, to know more about the SEBA, you may visit our website. So after hearing from local businesses, we now move on to the second panel for our workshop, which is on advancing circular economy action in the Philippines, to be moderated by one of our co-conveners, Thomas. We are joined this morning by Mr. Aldi Garcia, Vice President for Business Advocacy and Policy of CCCI, and Assurance Managing Partner, PricewaterhouseCoopers. And online, we also have Mr. Edward Gakusana, Executive Director of the UN Global Compact, Philippines. If Mr. Gakusana is online, may we ask him to turn on his video so he can be seen by our participants. Oh, okay.
Participating in this session, we are actually talking about progressing the circular economy agenda in the Philippines. And we're talking to two people. Actually, there's more, but unfortunately, it hasn't worked out very well. Today has been challenging for a number of people, and they had asked me to tell us they are unable to attend. From UN Global Compact, we have Mr. Edward Kusana. And hi, nice to see you. Would I just start a conversation with the two of us initially while we wait for our representative from Cebu to come here? Maybe I'll start with what are you, Global Compact Philippines, what are your policy initiatives?
Correct, I think online they cannot hear you. It's important for your conversation partners.
Chris, can you give the
Mr.
mic to
Gakusana,
Thomas?
can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Online we can hear each
Just give
other.
us a few seconds to fix the issue.
Yes, thank you.
Technology in between now, just to make sure that we have this, I will innovate a little bit. Since I noticed you all like to see Renee's speeches, I'll ask you to come on the stage as well. Sit there, and then what we'll do is there anybody here with questions? If there are any questions, until they fix the
technical glitches you are still hearing. Is there any questions you have or any points you want to clarify? We can also work on that. There are floor mics there, just please use. So is there anybody got any questions, ideas, suggestions? Yes, madam.
Sorry, we cannot hear from here. We cannot hear through Zoom.
Just, yeah. Oh no.
Okay, that's better.
We're going to hear the governments.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Emma Ramas from the Cebu City Government, the Solid Waste Management Board. I would just like to share with you, I think Regan and Sir Paul expressed enough of the challenges that everyone is facing about getting the shift of mindset from waste being waste to be brought to the landfill to waste to be recovered as much as we can. Our thrust in the city is really to collaborate with everyone. And we would like to start with the chamber. I'm just taking this opportunity because the officers, not much less than the president, is around. And we would like to say that we are ready to sign a covenant that will seal our partnership on how we can move forward and to take into consideration all these discussions we've done this morning.
Thank you very much. It's a very nice thing. Can we just go back to,
Yeah, no. Maybe Edward, can you hear us?
I would just like to agree with you.
Yes.
I think earlier on, so we say that waste must not be wasted. I think it was Dave who said that. Very good quotable quote that it got into my head. So I think that's a great collaboration, great future.
Edward. Yeah. Maybe Edward.
Edward, can we just tell us about the policy initiatives and actions?
Yes.
I think earlier on, so we say that waste must not be wasted. I think it was Dave who said that. Very good quotable quote that it got into my head. So I think that's a great collaboration, great future.
Edward.
Yeah.
Maybe Edward.
Edward, can we just tell us about the policy initiatives and actions
Global Compact.
promoting the circular economy in the Philippines? Sorry, I hope the technical glitches have all been sorted out. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Thanks, Thomas. No worries. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, very clear,
yes.
very clear now.
Great,
and you're
great.
just as good as how you look. You go.
Thanks, Thomas. So the question is, first of all, the UN Global Compact is the world's largest sustainability initiative. We have over 25,000 now members globally. And the way we do it is we ask companies to make a commitment. And Dr. Rene shared earlier about the 10 principles, the 4 main areas, which includes environment. So we ask the CEOs to make a commitment. So it's a comprehensive commitment to the 10 principles as well as the SDGs, because that's our mandate, to build the capacity of corporations to apply these principles and also contribute to the SDGs in general. So that's my basic answer to how UNGC is addressing circular economy and how we can build the capacity of corporations, because that's the only way. We need to encourage everybody to shift, transition, change, and improve and innovate. And that's the way to go, right? It's one thing to make a commitment, but also to make to apply it on a regular basis.
Yeah, I'll come back to you on how you make the transition and from commitment to real action. Before that, let's hear from Ms. Adel, who is the man who is moving things within the chamber.
First of all, sorry that I was late. I'm part of the COMELEC, and as you know, we're having our chamber election, so it's still ongoing upstairs. That's also part of our sustainability agenda. We need to make sure that we elect the right leaders to
Are you standing
put
for
it forward.
elections? You're also standing for election.
I am not in the running this time. I still have half of my term left.
Okay.
But insofar as the chamber is concerned, I think Dr. Rene mentioned one of the pillars earlier about education and innovation. And a large part of what we do in the chamber is empowering and educating our members about the new ways of doing things. Yesterday, we had a very detailed discussion about the EPR law, and a lot of questions about how difficult and how hard it is to comply with the law. And as I was delivering the closing message yesterday, I said, it's hard because we are trying to solve decades-old problems. It's difficult because we are trying to transform and undo centuries-old of processes and systems. But we don't have any alternative. I mean, if we don't do it right and if we don't do it fast, the alternative is a lot difficult for everyone. The other aspect is innovation. So both from the chamber and in my role in the firm in PwC, we are supporting a lot of technology startups that solve ESG-related issues. So I told the story yesterday about one of the most famous places in Cebu is not actually some of the tourist spots in Cebu, but it's in Pasil. Pasil, because of the garbage, mountain of garbage in Pasil. And I shared to the plenary yesterday that I was part of the very first private sector initiative to clean up Pasil. So we got funding from the Danish NGO back in 2017. But unfortunately, 3 days after, there was a big typhoon. And the mountain of trash that came back to Pasil is even larger than the mountain of garbage that we cleaned up a few days before. And yesterday, I was mentoring a startup from CIT, Cebu Institute of Technology, a group of 5 students. They develop a technology. It's called an aqua drone. It's going to patrol the shores and stop and collect the garbage from going on shore. So I think if we look at innovation as a means of solving this problem, it's actually giving us another dimension, because while we talk about the 4th Industrial Revolution and the advancements of technology, if we keep doing the same things, we should expect the same results, right? But if we use the technologies that we have today, hopefully, and the innovation mindset that we have, hopefully, we'll be able to not only play catch up, but get ahead of the curve in terms of what we want to do insofar as circular economy.
Could I just ask you a follow-up question? So in this scenario, what is needed for businesses to make the transition?
That's a tough question, because we're trying to solve an ecosystem problem, and it will have to take an ecosystem of solutions. I think we said yesterday, the EPR law is a good step in the right direction, but if you look at it in isolation, it's just a drop in the bucket. It has to be a concerted effort. Case in point, Thomas, in Northern Luzon, there's a cooperative of calamansi farmers. You know, we are very famous for our calamansi. We export our calamansi juice. But you know what the biggest waste is? The calamansi peel. And we have mountains of calamansi peel in the north, and they cannot use it. Now, there's a startup that is able to extract pectin out of the calamansi peel. And it's a lot more efficient and effective for use in food products and cosmetics. But unfortunately, the big businesses, they have set up their production plant to only cater to powdered form of pectin. It's not cost efficient, but it's how they were able to set up. And they are not able to accommodate this advancement in technology because this innovation was a product innovation. What I'm trying to say is that when we innovate, it should be a wholesale innovation from the design of the equipment all the way to the use of the product.
So I think your point is there is technology, but the application of the technology, there's a gap. Can I just ask Global Compact the same question? What do you what in your view businesses must do or need to do to make the transition to circular economy?
I have a list of very practical strategies, Thomas. Number one, I think we need to understand circular economy principles. Everybody in this room probably understand the principles, but we need to ask how SMEs are understanding these principles. That's number one. Because as you know, a majority of businesses in the Philippines, over 90% are SMEs. So that's number one. We need to know how they are appreciating and applying these principles. Second strategy, I think the business associations can help in this area. We need to evaluate current practices. So meaning we assess business practices and then we help identify areas for where circular principles can be integrated. Because it takes time to change habits and processes. It also takes time to and investment as well if you want to change business processes. So I think there has to be that comprehensive assessment process. Third, everybody has to rethink product design. Dr. Rene mentioned this earlier. So it's important that we look at longevity, reliability, and recyclability. So those are the things that we need to look at. But again, rethink design. I always hear this, but because by design, we'll be able to make sure that the principles are applied in the business process. Next is yes. So those are the three major things that I want to share.
Thank you. And can I then ask you what is your organization doing and your plans to help companies or your members to make the transition?
As you know, since we're operating globally, but we have local networks in different countries, over 60 plus country networks. And what we do is to build the capacity of the corporate participants. We provide accelerator programs. These are 3 to 6, sometimes 8 months sessions where we guide companies on how to transform and transition their business to make it more sustainable. We provide peer learning groups where, similar to this, we kind of learn from each other, but also learn not just the best practices, but also our mistakes and how do we correct them together. And also we provide advocacy and policy support. And we have pilot projects. Like last year, we did one in a community on how to use incentives coming from the private sector to encourage the community to collect plastics locally, and we partnered with a recycler and make sure that these plastics are are developed into new products. But one thing I heard from the owner of the recycling plant is this: um, technology is there, but management needs to improve. Which means no, it has to be comprehensive in a locality, right? Each barangay, each locality needs to they need to participate. Because certain barangays are doing the collection, but not everybody. So so it has to be a comprehensive approach. Private sector working with the government. So
Thanks.
yeah, that's how I see it.
Thanks. That's very encouraging. Can I ask you what is your chamber and your work in trying to help companies transit and increase their commitment to circularity?
Yeah, the big part is education, especially on the part of the chamber. So we are a business enabler, and we match them with the right technologies and the right kind of mind setting. So every beginning of the year, we have a mind setting conference for our members. And then we tell them and invite speakers, collaborate with them in terms of how to make current business practices more sustainable, and also identifying certain innovations that can help in their businesses. I think as a chamber, that's what we can do. As an individual member, and we are talking, while in large part we are talking about product life cycle here. There's another life that has to be talked about, and that's lifestyle. And
Science.
lifestyle. I mean, the lifestyle, it has to be a change in lifestyle for the consumers. It has to be a change in culture for the producers, and also a change in mindset, and hopefully a wake-up call for our policymakers and our regulators. And as a chamber, we bring these businesses, our members, together and make sure that we have a singular view of what's needed to be done to become more sustainable.
Okay, thanks. And I'll just come to the final question before I open up to the floor. Is how do you see briefly with ASIBA, as our partnership with ASIBA, can add value and support the work of promote or enabling businesses to make the transition to circular economy? How do you see we can contribute?
Okay, let me take the first crack, but I think ASIBA, the biggest benefit that we can get, or actually our ask, is the network. You've done this in other territories. You have business cases, you have use cases. Instead of us starting from scratch, maybe there's a best practices sharing that we can do on a regular basis. Dr. Rene mentioned about some of the business cases in other territories. The terrain and the landscape, even the business models, are very much the same here in the Philippines versus the other ASEAN territories. If they became successful in that part of the region, there's no reason why we can't also be successful in this part of the world. All I'm saying is, instead of trying to play catch up, we have an opportunity here through the help of ASIBA to get ahead of the curve, learn from, for lack of a better term, learn from the mistakes of other companies, other territories, and benefit from the lessons that they have learned along the way.
Thank you very much. Edward, how can ASIBA help you in your work?
Two things, Thomas. Number one, knowledge sharing and capacity building, which we are doing already, but I think we need to get more business associations involved and help them maybe provide a framework on how they can do their internal assessments, and their members can do their internal assessments in terms of their circular economy practices. That's number one. Second, I think we need to provide market opportunities. When I was talking to the owner of this recycling plant, he was telling me that, we have the technology, we can do all these things, but aside from management, the issue is, are we promoting circular products and services enough, right? Because there has to be a business model as well. So you need to provide that market opportunities. Last year, I was speaking to the World Trade Center, and there was a section there on sustainable products. So there's now more opportunity to buy products, circular products and services. And I think we need to promote that more. So those are the two things that I think are really important at this point. And ASIBA can play that critical role in, just make sure that knowledge is everywhere and we help build capacity.
Thank you. I think both of you, the use with lifestyle and markets, that there must be a market from consumers to use circular products and services. And you have to create that demand. Then there's an incentive for companies and you'll make the transition. Before I ask Renee to comment on this, okay, is there any other questions or anybody online or from the, yep, I recognize you.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I'm Kurt Amores, the president of Philanthropic Sports. I'd like to first thank Executive Director Joy for extending this invitation. And I believe, as mentioned by VPLD, that our programs have a solution to this ecosystemic problem. Because one of the common infrastructures here in the country and one of the common denominators of what we have in the Philippines across all social classes is sports. The power of sports to influence the general public is very powerful because even the sport of basketball here has a 99% brand awareness, the NBA. And what I've been able to secure from last year was I got this grant from the FIBA Foundation to implement this Basketball for Good. And I even managed to have this MOU signed with the Department of Environment and Natural Resources to implement this Sports for Nature. Perhaps one thing we can also introduce in this circular economy is the role of our athletes, being the most influential people in the grassroots, and how we can utilize their influence to their peers and even the younger ones to intake more sustainable products and change from awareness level down to a lifestyle change. Now, hopefully, they can become more sustainable citizens. I hope that this can be taken on by the chamber and as well as ASIBA. Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestions. Are there any questions online? Okay. Yes.
Three quick points. Number one, the true north has been mentioned a few times, and this is really, I think, very important. And the structure is there. All the things that we have discussed, that you have presented, is very important in terms of moving forward because we're better organized now. The second thing is responsibility is also has been mentioned, and I have a story with that. I met the CEO and founder of River Recycle here in Cebu. He came here for I think 1 day, and his time was quite tight, and I have to make sure that I talk to this guy. And he mentioned that talking about responsibility, he said, one day he had this idea, and it's all about river cleanup and the ocean plastic contribution. And Philippines ranks very high. In fact, maybe number one. Number one. Okay. So he said, he invented machinery to take away the plastic in the rivers. And he said, at first, I'm going to price it very reasonably. And then he came to countries here in Asia and no taker. And he said, okay, I'm going to develop a scheme the machinery is no cost, free. Okay, you just use it, and then there's a model that he can recoup his investment. No takers, and the question is, why is that? Simply because if somebody takes away the waste from the rivers, it is the beginning of someone taking responsibility of this waste. If it remains in the rivers or in the ocean, no one is responsible. And that gave me a very important perspective. And I'm glad that the city government is taking action now. I think we bought machineries to clean up the rivers, and we have the gubat sa baha, meaning war on flooding. And the city government is pioneering the cleanup of rivers. So I think this is a good start. People are now going to start taking responsibility. And the third point is, he mentioned to me that vision is very important. And it's also, you also mentioned that vision. He said, the vision for Cebu is for Cebu City to be the first city in the Philippines to have zero contribution to ocean plastic. And that is a very powerful vision, because it points us to the true north. So it led to us in the board of the chamber to decide that in the agenda of the alliance is the sustainability and environmental stewardship. And then came ASEBA to wanting to partner with us, So awareness is very important. So I'm taking notes of the things that we can do on a practical basis. Raising awareness, I'm going to propose to the board that we are going to include sustainability or circular economy practices recognition in our Grand Chamber Awards, because every year we have Grand Chamber Awards. And to highlight these companies, these best practices, and avoid those who are only greenwashing. Thank you, Engineer Paul, for telling me that earlier. We have to recognize these people. And also, I mentioned a bit earlier that we can have toolkits just to stimulate the discussions and the best practices in terms of business model, etc., so that we can farm out to our member companies and beyond. And also, that video is very powerful. It's like, 1 minute, 60 seconds, or 1.5 minutes. We can show that in all our chamber events, because we have, reels that we keep on looping prior to the start of the programs that we have. These are simple, practical steps. I'm happy that FIBA is one of the avenues, sports, and many other things that we can do, because it takes a whole community to make us live by these responsibilities. So the key point is responsibility, and coming from where we are, it takes a lot of effort. But if the community gets involved, then surely we can do something.
Thank you very much. I think that is a fantastic summing up. Thank you very much. So I think now it comes out very nicely. Thanks, Jay. Yep. Okay. Okay.
Hi, good morning. My name is Windsor. I am from River Recycle. This is just an additional info of what Sergi has said earlier. Actually, River Cycle is a Finnish company. So we started in the Philippines. We have our installation in Manila and now in Cebu. In Cebu, we have 3 collecting areas. That's in Guadalupe River, Kinalumsan River, and Tagunol River. So what we are collecting right now is plastics. We're collecting all the garbage, but we sorted it to plastics. So we separated the high value plastics to low value plastics. Then the high value plastics are sold to junkyards, and the low value plastics are the one that we are using to be recycled as what Dr. Rini is telling earlier, that we recycle the low value plastics to boards, plastic boards. So these plastic boards, I have a sample there. Maybe I can show you.
No, it's okay. I think after that, can we do that? Because
so
I have been reminded.
okay, so we're doing that one. We're using the low value plastics because these plastics are the one thrown to everywhere. It will clog the canals, the rivers, so it will cause the flooding in Cebu.
Okay.
So that's why we are doing that one. So we try to collaborate with the local government. We have the MOU, and we are also introducing that one to the eight coastal barangays in Cebu.
Thank you.
So for now, our question is this one. How can we be a member with the SWITS? Because as of now, we're also looking for grants to finance our river cleaning. Because what we're doing right now is we have the recycling so that we can have a circular economy. But for now, our recycling facility is just starting, so there's no revenue yet. So to continue our work, we're looking for funders to support us.
Thanks for the inspiring story, and I wish you success in these things. I think now I have to just round up the thing. Sorry. Oh yes, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chan. I'm speaking as a consumer myself and as a citizen of the Philippines and Cebu. I completely agree with engineer earlier in terms of saying the change in mindset. I've been hearing it the entire morning, right? And I completely agree with the change of mindset because I myself as a consumer, I really am more onto the cost of the goods and its usability or benefits. Now, the concept of circular economy is a very great concept with immense potential. As we've discussed earlier, shifting consumer mindset is a very crucial thing to consider since this is a shared responsibility. If we know that the consumers have changed their mindset and lifestyle, producers can also follow through with the kind of products that they will be manufacturing, correct? Now, from the experience of ASEBA, is there a framework that the LGU or the government, partner institutions as mentioned by our beloved CCCI, and implementing agencies can follow to effectively encourage the shift of mindset and influence the consumer preferences? Because I think this is one thing that's more pressing rather than asking the government and asking the companies to do the shared responsibility. It always go down to the roots. And what could be the best phases and timeline that is realistic enough to see the impact?
Thank you. So now I think with all these questions, before we wind it up, actually, Jay has made some very nice wrapping up. Thank you for it. Rini, since...
Okay. I think as I say, but we recognize that there's many parts of the puzzle that have to change, and we cannot change everything at the same time. So SEBA has decided to focus on what business can do, and I think there is a lot of elements which are linked to lifestyle changes, and there's some work also which Switch Asia is involved in, which is dealing with sustainable lifestyles and issues, and engaging the sports community is one of the typical actions. And I would say, why don't we give some of the sports teams just kit which is made from recycled material? So that would be very visible, and get them to play. I play with 100% recycled. My shirt was 12 bottles or whatever the number is, or 10, whatever the number is. So that could be really there. So this is purposely not something that SEBA as such is moving on very much. I think also the question on funding is very legitimate, but we are not a bank, I must say. But we are trying to see that there are, the irony is that circular initiatives are having a challenge to find money, and people who have money are finding it difficult to find projects. So that's the irony of it. So there's a little bit of a bridge of matchmaking that needs to happen, and that is really based on looking at sound economics. So there's limited funding for circularity initiatives, so they want to see something which is scalable and makes business sense, and that's also legitimate. So we need to get the biggest bang for the buck, to put it bluntly. So I think that we are trying to engage also with the the finance community to see what they can offer. But I guess I want to maybe take back the words for the president, Jay. He was sort of speaking about, and I also emphasize that we need to keep an ambition on where we want to go. But doing that should not prevent us from taking the actions which are very obvious of what we can do. So we can say that EPR is difficult, and yes, it is. But the simple thing we can do, we can make the problem simpler by every time we pack some product to see, can we do it differently? And there are also consumer goods companies in the Philippines, Avon, Unilever, who are starting to do this. So is it really necessary to have such a large packaging for small sizes? Can we reduce? Can we compact things? And that will have not only less plastics, which we have to deal with, but it's less trucks to deliver. It's less space in the shops. It's all difficult. And if I take from my own experience in living in Europe 20, 30 years ago, why did consumer goods companies start changing to the way they're packaging? Not because of the environmental rules, but the supermarkets were saying you have 1 meter of face in the supermarket. You decide, do you want to show 5 brands of tea or 10? And they said, we'll do 8. We'll make it smaller, and we have different facings. So we need to look at this more from a business perspective, and saying also, what can we do? What can we already do to just make it simple? So thinner plastics, people are redesigning we have one company example from Thailand, automotive component manufacturer. They said, let us try to do recycled polypropylene for most of the parts. And what they did, they had to adjust the machines, and most of the parts they can do with 20 to 30% less plastics. It's all co-benefits. So we need to look at opening up our eyes and using a lens of circular economy to look at new products, unlocking value, unlocking strategic advantage, unlocking competitive advantage. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I'll just round up the discussions before we do closing. Number one, I think we all know that we cannot leave the world as we are today. It has to change. We have to change it to not because the earth will die. It's because people will die. If we don't do it well, the planet will still be there. It's just the people will disappear. It's me and our generations. That's a fact. The bees, the insects, the birds will still thrive, be human beings. So we have to be a bit selfish for ourselves. And that message should be a motivator. The second one is the fact that you need a vision. If I have to tell you a story as a Singaporean, in the 1960s, people in Singapore were telling the government, I need standpipes. Standpipes is pipes of water, clean water, on the road so you can pick it and go to your house because there's no water. I remember a speech Lee Kuan Yew did the then Prime Minister at the trade union thinks that you need a vision, not fighting for water or remove well water, but having a thriving metropolis where every home has got water, proper sanitation. That is the vision. It doesn't look possible, but today the vision is there. So I think you need to have clear vision and also have an implementation of the vision. That's a fact. I also recognize that part of this problem is creating a demand that you want. One of the greatest ideas of democracy in most countries, which does not have brainwashing or teaching different values, is governments, they have to go for elections, therefore need to vote. So they have to show results, most countries. So you find it very, very clear. So if we need to have implementation, if you have this vision, we need to implement. I recognize that we need to have consumers change mindset, therefore they do that. So when the AREBA, when we have a committee of advisors, we have a president of Consumer International also sitting on our board to give us. So I think we are focusing on businesses change, business responsibility. And I accept that everybody has a responsibility. When I was 18 years old, long time ago, I went for a permanent job in an oil refinery. And then with just a new guy on the first day, I was told that everyone has a responsibility to be safe. And if you, so I think the word was O-A-R. As long you see something is not right, you have the authority. A is the authority to change. And if you don't act, you are failing your responsibility. So I think we all have a responsibility for all our neighbors. And since we prayed this morning, I must also quote Jesus Christ, who said you have to love your neighbor as yourself. And who is your neighbor? We have to be good neighbors as businessmen, as individuals, and collectively contribute. I have to stop here because I can carry on for a longer time. So I will and I know that it is important that you need your lunch, and the hotels will chase us out if I do for that. So on this note, I just want to really thank both Edward and Hiram for your sharing, because there's hope that these organizations, that we are not alone, there are enough mobilization, and ASIBA, we are happy and we are glad that we are working with people. We are not a new player to do something different. We are here quoting business examples, having as organization as allies, because we need to work together. SDG 17, partnerships are important. No one is an island, no one can do it. Although we are in Philippines is an island, Singapore is an island, no man is an island. We need to work together, and together, let's try and make the change. Thank you very much, and thank all the participants and everybody. Thank you very much for this country.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
So thank you. Oh, sorry. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Thomas, Renee, VP LD, and also Mr. Gapkosala from UN Global Compact. So to formally close this event, we'll hear from the two host organizations of today's workshop. May we call on Mr. Wendell Ganhinhin, Vice President, Finance and Admin Services, CCCI. And after that, it will be followed by Dr. Zinaida Fadiva, Team Leader, EU Switch Asia PSC.
Thank you. It's already 12 o'clock, so good noon everyone. Mayong udto sa inyong tanan. Due to the limited time, it's good to have this discussion for the whole day, but we are just scheduled for this morning. But the discussion is very insightful, and I learned a lot of things. So I'd like to thank everyone on behalf of ASEBA and Cebu Chamber of Commerce. Would like to thank everyone, our panelists, our speakers, our participants, our online participants as well. So thank you so much for your time, for sharing your experiences. I learned a lot, some few things that I would like to share. During the the first panel discussion. It's very interesting. So we heard a lot of change of mindset. We heard a lot about it's a decade-old problem. It's an ecosystem problem. So that said, if this is a ecosystem problem, it's a community problem, and it takes a community to solve also this problem. So based on that one, so we learned that based on the discussions earlier, we heard that there are so many challenges, but with the challenges, there are also a lot of opportunities. So, and then one speaker said that we need to formalize this very informal sector. So it's, sir, no, I think you mentioned about that. And as mentioned earlier, so since this is a problem of the community and it takes the community to solve their problem, then it should be all hands on deck. So we are happy this morning that all sectors are being represented from the government sector. So we need the politicians, the technocrats, the bureaucrats to be, we need to have a buy-in from them. Everyone, we need to have a buy-in, because if there's none, then it's very difficult to make a significant progress as regards to this issue. So we are being represented. So we have a government sector, we have the business sector, we have the non-stock, non-profit organizations. We discuss about the role of the consumers. And of course, we have the media sector. Now, because as mentioned earlier, so we need to transition from the awareness to lifestyle. So it takes a lifestyle. We need a change of lifestyle to solve all of these problems. So having said all of these things, I would like to thank again everyone for your participation and for our speakers for sharing this one. Aseba, thank you. Araiba, for sharing your time and expertise to us. So it's good to have this partnership for this alliance, because as mentioned earlier, this is a problem of the community, and we need the community to solve this problem, and therefore all hands should be on deck. Thank you so much. And maingod to kaninyong tanan.
Dr. Fadiva is joining us online.
Colleagues, the discussion was so thoughtful, and synergies of thoughts and visions are so inspirational that it draws me to address you at the end of the session, not as ladies and gentlemen, but as really colleagues and partners. So as we conclude this workshop, and I agree with you that it would be nice to continue for the whole day and a few days ahead, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our partners, CCCI and ASEBA co-conveners, and ARIBA as well, for dedication and collaboration. A special thank you for our esteemed speakers and the participants for joining us today. It was intense exchange, so very grateful for that. The partnership between ASEBA and CCCI is of great significance, and with MOU signing this afternoon, we think another step forward in strengthening this collaboration will be made. While closing remarks often sound routine, please know that those words from us come from the deep appreciation and sincerity. And we are truly honored to be your partner, not only in fostering world-class enterprises and industries, but also in recognizing the world-class people of Cebu, which are already there, and certainly it was demonstrated today. A heartfelt thank you to President Jay and to the Vice Presidents for your leadership, as well as to Joy, and Joy, your team, for your invaluable operational support leading to this. And we look forward to continuous collaboration. So we also see many opportunities and synergies now that you are part of ASEBA with our work under Switch Asia Policy Support Component. This includes circular economy initiatives in tourism and building and construction, and in exploring how APR can derive secondary material circularity, and how green public procurement can transform markets, promote efficient, less polluting and long-lasting products, as has been emphasized as a need today. and those materials can be refurbished, reused, rejuvenated at the end of their life cycle. In the current global geopolitical landscape, we really see growing trend towards securing regional self-interest and economic development, and often at the cost of other critical aspects. In this context, the circular economy may be, as we can see, a strategy that not only drives economic growth, but also does so without further compromising our societal and ecosystem fabrics. It offers, we feel, a way towards what integrates a very practical focus on material use with urgent needs for climate action and resilience of the communities. Together with ASEBA and with you as vital part of this now, we envision long-term success, which will require many innovations. From our side, Switch Asia side, we are happy to support this journey. And Switch Asia remains committed to working alongside ASEBA and its partner to advance transition to circular economy in Southeast Asia with strong focus on the Philippines, Thailand, and Indonesia. And we look forward to collaborating and achieving this shared goal together. Thank you very much. Good lunch and God bless.
Thank you. Hello, hello. Oh, I'm without sound. Hello, hello. There. So with that, we end this morning's activity. So on behalf of ASEBA and Switch Asia, again, I thank you for joining us this morning. For our friends from the press and the media who are present, we will have a press briefing immediately after this. Probably here in just one table, we can sit together with our ASEBA conveners and probably with the officials of CCI for a short press briefing. And everyone else, we invite you to lunch. Magandang tanghali po ulit sa inyong lahat and maraming salamat po.